The crazy thing is, for the last 2 years, Republicans were the ones screaming for these Epstein files. And one of them still is and doesn't care what the rest of the party has to say about it.
There is no amount of pressure they can put on me to force me to step in line on that, so to speak.
You know things in Washington are broken when Marjorie Taylor Greene is the lone voice of reason on the Republican side. I mean, what is going on? First healthcare and now this. Did she get a visit from 3 ghosts?
I've always been an unapologetic Trump supporter. I was one of the very few that stood with him after January 6th, fought for him all over the country and helped him get reelected. Spent millions of dollars out of my own campaign to do that. And I've also supported many great Republicans getting elected as well. But I'm not a, let's see, what's the right way to say it? I'm not a slave.
No, that wasn't the right way to say it. That's the wrong way to say it. Man, next time maybe try doormat. I think it would work better.
She tried to call the cops on a punchline. That's the spark that turned a single late-night joke into a running saga. The kind of culture war loop you can chart by studio laughter and outraged tweets. Jimmy Kimmel made one crack about Marjorie Taylor Greene on national television. Greene escalated it into a law and order drama. Kimmel did what comedians do. He put the escalation back on TV and let the audience decide. They did, loudly. If you support Jimmy Kimmel, subscribe and drop one quality that you like most about him in the comments section.
Where is Will Smith when you need him? And the audience laughed, and then so she saw it, and she decided she was going to try to get some political mileage out of this. This is what she does instead of working. She tweets. After she saw it, she tweeted, ABC contacts my employer. This threat of violence against me by Jimmy Kimmel has been filed with the Capitol Police. She called the police and reported this.
Week of April 5th, 2022. Kimmel's desk is stacked with the usual cue cards. The news of the day is ugly and loud. Greene has just branded 3 Republican senators pro-pedophile for voting to confirm Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court. Kimmel rolls the clip, squints, and drops a topical grenade. Where is Will Smith when you really need him? It's a clean 7-word joke, pure late-night reflex built from the biggest pop culture moment of that month detonated against the ugliest smear of that week.
Neanderthals are an extinct group of humans that lived until about 40,000 years ago. This is what they look like. This was taken at the exact moment they found out they had herpes. But the Neanderthal on the right, the female, looks familiar to me, right? I mean, yes, that's right. I guess she's a viewer because she reached out on Twitter. She wrote, "Hey, Jimmy Kimmel, since most of your show content is your nonstop lies about me, why don't you have me on your show? I'll bring you a copy of my book, and we can chat about what needs to happen to save America." I guess I'm a Hollywood libtard that's part of the celebrity pedophile Satan Club until she has a book to promote. Then I'd love to swing by. This woman, I want to remind you something.
If this were a normal news cycle, the line would come and go like all the other monologue sparks. But it isn't a normal news cycle, and Greene isn't a normal television subject. She's a magnet for oxygen. Within hours, she declares that she has reported Kimmel to the US Capitol Police for a threat of violence, not a stern quote tweet, not a lighten up post, a police complaint over a joke. Kimmel's reply the next night is the sort of thing writers' rooms dream about because the target wrote half the bit for them.
Not only did she call the police, she called the same police she voted against giving a Congressional Gold Medal to for defending our Capitol against the insurrection she helped incite on January 6th. That's who she called, the people she wanted to defund. It's amazing how quickly you can go from these liberals who can't see anything anymore to, what'd you say? I'm calling the cops.
Jimmy Kimmel's job is to joke.
Lets the room simmer down, and meets the camera with a look of exhausted amusement.
But for some reason, their roles flipped.
I'd like to report a joke.
Greene became the drama queen of prime time, tweeting that Kimmel's joke was a threat of violence and that she reported him to the Capitol
Police. The whole segment on the
Let
glaring
that
irony
sink in.
that a
A
politician
member
who
of
glorifies
Congress who once
outrage is trying
glorified
to
chaos on
criminalize a
January
punchline
6th,
when the
now
punchline
crying
hits back.
police.
So just to be clear, peacefully protesting a wannabe dictator means you hate America. Attacking the Capitol to overturn an election, patriotic walking tour. There is nothing more American than a political protest. The American Revolution was a No Kings rally. And if you are planning to go to the rally and you're going to be making your own sign, everybody there has a sign. I just want to ask you, remember, our president is very sensitive about his weight, so please do not use the word Shamussolini to describe him, or engorge Washington, or King Hungry VIII. He will not appreciate it. It's rude, and he will throw you in jail.
Because of a comedy monologue. The irony wrote itself. Kimmel didn't need to fight back. He just read her tweet aloud, smirked at the camera and said, "Officer, I'd like to report a joke." The crowd erupted. Because deep down, everyone watching knew this wasn't outrage. It was performance. Greene wasn't protecting herself. She was auditioning for attention. 3.
After processing the fact that someone called the police on me, believe it or not, this has never happened to me in my life. I tweeted back, I wrote, "Officer, I'd like to report a joke." A lot of people liked it. They hit like, which triggered her, I guess, the sweet little snowflake, because she tweeted again.
At the same time, the relentless bombing of the Palestinian people, and many of them have been just innocent people. They're not Hamas. They're literally women and children, and you can't unsee the amount of pictures and videos of children that have been blown to pieces and they're finding them dead in the rubble. Those aren't actors. That isn't fake war propaganda. It's very real, and I think that is equally horrific. I want to see an end to it, and I think most Americans do.
The wildest part. Greene called the same police she voted against honouring. The Capitol officers who risked their lives defending democracy. She tried to defund them, insulted them, and now, suddenly, they were her personal bodyguards against a punchline. You couldn't write satire sharper than reality at that moment. Jimmy Kimmel didn't need to exaggerate. He just held up a mirror. The people she wanted to...
In which she used a clearly doctored photo that makes it seem like this guy who's in charge of U.S. fencing was giving the middle finger, when in fact he was holding up 2 fingers.
Here displayed behind me is the post that Mr. Lefelt put up. Mr. Lefelt came in here today saying that this is game day.
One moment, a point of order, please,
You're
Madam
not.
Okay, Madam Chair, I have a point of order. The document that you have up behind you is a misrepresentation of the actual post. It appears that you're trying to misrepresent a witness here who you use subpoena powers against.
This is not Miss Stansbury. Miss Stansbury, this is not a point of order.
The actual picture.
Miss Stansbury, you're not recognized. Miss Stansbury, you're not recognized. Miss Stansbury, you're not recognized.
One of those these days, that gavel's going to hit her in the head, and she'll be smarter for it. She will be better off.
You are not. This is not a point of order, Miss Stansbury. This is not a point of order.
What the committee does. You are misrepresenting the witnesses. You are misrepresenting policy. You are misrepresenting...
Miss Stansbury, you're not recognized. Did you feel you were in a safe environment, free from abuse, when you were told you must compete against a man?
Peace be with you, too. Thank you, Miss Stansbury. A literal photobomb.
Defund, he said, are the ones she's speed dialing over a joke. It was the kind of hypocrisy that makes the audience's laughter turn into disbelief. Because this wasn't just a petty online feud anymore. It became a masterclass in how outrage is manufactured, how victimhood is monetized, and how one joke can trigger a political meltdown seen around the world. 4. Greene wasn't done. She doubled.
This afternoon, she wrote, "You were joking. You hide your misogyny and your racism behind your jokes on ABC. This was a dog whistle to the violent left to assault me or worse." And you're, misspelled "you're," of course, already inspiring fantasies of violence against me. How many new death threats will I get that are your fans? Well, that's nice. She thinks I have fans. I guess that's good. But now listen, not only don't I condone death or any kind of threats against anyone, especially as I get dozens of them a week myself from the sickos who align with you,
He never needs to invent a villain. He plays back the quote, adds one sentence, and lets the contradiction do the shouting. If it's a night for silly seasoning, he'll throw in a Kermit line or a comic book sting, but the core is always the same. Show the clip, say the thing, trust the room. Taken together, the story isn't just comedian roasts politician, it's a small civics lesson about how speech meets power in a country that allegedly believes in both.
The reason the Democrats refuse to sign this budget agreement is because it will cause millions of Americans to lose their health care. Republicans deny this. They say it won't hurt anyone at all. And if you had any doubt that they were lying before, consider this shocking post from the gentlewoman from Georgia who wrote, I'm not a fan of Obamacare, but I'm going to go against everyone on this issue because when the tax credits expire this year, my own adult children's insurance premiums for 2026 are going to double, along with all the wonderful families and hardworking people in my district. No, I'm not towing the party line on this or playing loyalty games. And I know this sounds crazy, but I will say it for the second time in a month. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right.
Greene's instinct is escalation. Turn criticism into a criminal vibe. Recruit the symbols of authority the moment a joke points at the show. Kimmel's instinct is demystification. Turn the escalation back into something you can laugh at, not because it's trivial, but because ridicule is how democracies survive people who want to police laughter. The exchange is almost ritual. She raises the stakes with a uniform, he lowers the temperature with a tagline, the crowd arbiters the moment with a reaction no press secretary can spin.
I also find it very rich that a person who did this in her campaign ad is suddenly whining about fantasies of violence. How does this even compute? This woman, you may remember, she is the one who endorsed fringe conspiracy theories and repeatedly indicated support for executing prominent Democratic politicians. Now she's dialing 911 because she got made fun of. She's a snowflake and a sociopath at the same time. A snowciopath, as we call it from now on.
It helps that Kimmel's approach to Greene is incredulity, not rage. He does not sell outrage for sport. He trades in the bemused, you've got to be kidding me face that every viewer recognizes from their own living room. That face is a weapon. It tells the audience, you aren't crazy, this really is ridiculous. And it keeps the moral math simple. You don't have to memorize a docket or argue about decorum. You just have to answer the question, do we call the police on a joke, or do we roll our eyes and move on?
The reason the Democrats refuse to sign this budget agreement is because it will cause millions of Americans to lose their health care. Republicans deny this. They say it won't hurt anyone at all. And if you had any doubt that they were lying before, consider this shocking post from the gentlewoman from Georgia who wrote, I'm not a fan of Obamacare, but I'm going to go against everyone on this issue because when the tax credits expire this year, my own adult children's insurance premiums for 2026 are going to double, along with all the wonderful families and hardworking people in my district. No, I'm not towing the party line on this or playing loyalty games. And I know this sounds crazy, but I will say it for the second time in a month. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right.
When he says, officer, I'd like to report a joke, he isn't sneering at law enforcement. He's indicting the idea that every disagreement needs a badge. There's a reason these segments loop so cleanly in edit. The beats write themselves. First beat, Greene smears senators with a phrase designed to melt timelines and fry synapses. Second beat, Kimmel diffuses the smear with a short, silly fuse of his own. Third beat, Greene declares the joke is violence. Fourth beat, Kimmel names the move and converts it back into a joke about policing jokes.
How big of a blowback is there right now in MAGA world specifically?
It's pretty big, I have to be honest. It's just a red line that it crosses for many people. Jeffrey Epstein is literally the most well-known convicted pedophile in modern-day history. This is something that's been talked about by many people serving in the administration, myself, and many others on the right and the left, of there needing to be transparency of the rich and powerful elites that were in his circle while he was just one of the worst serial abusers of young women. It has been a very serious situation for the administration, and many people are speaking out online. You've seen it. You saw it at Turning Point Student Action Summit this weekend. And a lot of people in MAGA, they really want to know more information about the people that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and is there a blackmail list, and are there foreign countries' governments involved? And there's nothing wrong with people continuing to ask that.
You could teach pacing with that blueprint: setup, receipt, reversal, release, and you could teach media literacy with it too. The reason the audience laughs isn't because they hate her, it's because the escalation is plainly disproportionate. Comedy thrives on the mismatch between action and response. When the response is a police report, every subsequent camera becomes a funhouse mirror. If the story were only about a 2022 call to the Capitol Police, it wouldn't be worth more than a shrug. But it keeps breathing because Greene keeps auditioning for it.
At the White House today, President Biden gave a speech forcefully condemning the evil attacks on Israel by Hamas. He confirmed that Americans are among those taken hostage, and at least 14 Americans were killed. He has vowed to do everything in his power to bring the Americans home safely, while the Magalorian is on a full all-caps alert, writing, "I kept Israel safe. Nobody else will, nobody else can, and I know all of the players." Well, then strap on some Kevlar and get over there, McRib Rambo. It's time for you to... Trump would like us to believe that his mere presence would have kept Hamas out of Israel and Russia out of Ukraine. This is from a guy who couldn't even keep Kanye out of Mar-a-Lago. But it's pretty clear that at this point, he's got no connection with reality at all. All he can see is perfect phone calls and unfair witch hunts, elections he won, wars he would have prevented. You know, we could right now build a little Oval Office in a mental institution and put him in there.
Every few months, a fresh soundbite offers Kimmel a new peg, and every time he returns to the feud, he quietly refreshes the original lesson without re-explaining it. The "I don't recall" montage keeps the credibility thread alive. The federal workers don't deserve their pay line keeps the hypocrisy thread glowing. The Batman gag keeps the silliness light enough to replay. And the core stinger, "Officer, I'd like to report a joke," sits in the wings like a chorus you can drop after any new attempt to criminalize mockery.
Trump says crazy stuff every day, but most of the time, you know he's full of it. He's bragging or he's lying or whatever, or he's just throwing crap onto his vision board. But this interview he did last night with Terry Moran from ABC News, you have to see that it went off the rails when Moran brought up the subject of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the guy from Maryland who was wrongly deported to a prison in El Salvador. Trump is convinced that he is a member of a gang, MS-13, and the evidence he is so convinced by is this clearly doctored photo in which someone, possibly a 5-year-old, put MS-13 on his knuckles. Now, to everyone else, this looks like it was created in Microsoft Paint on a Tandy 1000, but to Donald Trump, this is irrefutable evidence.
He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That was Photoshop. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry.
Part of the reason it feels satisfying, even years later, is that the players have stayed exactly themselves. Greene remains the elected arsonist who sets rhetorical fires and then poses with the hoses. Kimmel remains the host who smiles at the flames and hands the audience a bucket labeled common sense. He doesn't swing for the epic takedown. He trims the hedges night after night until the overgrowth can't hide the path anymore. That's what separates a roast from a record.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what led up to that? Or is there anything that we didn't see that precipitated that?
No, it's just that Marjorie is a little slow.
Yeah. Bleach blonde.
Bad built.
Butch body.
That's right.
Was that? It's so good. Was that floating around in your head before this?
No.
Holy cow, that just came out?
A roast wants a 5-alarm laugh. A record wants an audience that can quote the beats in order without the chyron. If you're cutting this story into a segment, you barely need a narrator at all. You can start with the 7 words that launched the loop. Where is Will Smith when you really need him? Let Greene's own announcement about the Capitol Police do the heavy lifting, and then let Kimmel's report a joke line seal the deal. From there, the Georgia hearing opens the second movement, and the federal employee's clown shoe completes the triad. You don't need to hunt for obscure footage.
All we had was a birthday card, so I'm gonna go ahead and seal this up. I would like you know who to bring this to, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Get this to Gotham City at once. And don't hesitate.
All right.
To the Cape Crusader to handle. And in the meantime, I'll keep my Jewish space laser set to gazpacho in case. And by the way, it wasn't just Marjorie who's all fired up. I got mean tweets from Diamond and Silk, which hurts because, you know, I'm a big fan. And even the Venmo-lester Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz weighed in on this. He wrote, note to Jimmy Kimmel, not only would Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband make quick work of you, but Rep. MTG herself would make quick work of you. Kimmel would not last too long if he were interested in engaging in unprovoked, terrible violence against this Congresswoman.
The moment you do that, the writer's room goes quiet. The host looks into the lens and the line practically writes itself. Officer, I'd like to report a joke. The rest is just the sound of an audience remembering that laughter, properly aimed, is not a crime scene. It's the exit sign.